What if love isn't a cage, but a constellation? What if, instead of following a script that says love must be exclusive, two people, or forever bound by rules of possession, we gave ourselves permission to redefine what love can look like, freely, consciously, and ethically? Welcome to the conversation about polyamory and open relationships, an intimate, complex, and often misunderstood world that challenges the boundaries of traditional monogamy. In a society where happily ever after has been synonymous with finding one person forever, those who choose to love beyond monogamy are often seen as rebels, radicals, or even irresponsible. But is that really the truth? This video is not about promoting one lifestyle over another. It's about opening the dialogue. Because behind the word polyamory isn't just a set of behaviors, it's a philosophy. A lens through which people view intimacy, love, and connection. Polyamory, which literally means many loves, is based on the belief that it is possible, and even natural, for humans to love more than one person at a time, in an honest and consensual way. It does not dismiss commitment. It reimagines it. Open relationships, though often lumped together with polyamory, are their own unique structures too. They can include emotional openness, sexual freedom, or both, depending on what the people involved agree upon. But no matter the label, polyamorous, open, ethically non-monogamous, the key principle is consent. And not just surface-level consent, but deep, informed, emotionally mature agreement to show up with honesty, clarity, and respect. The world is shifting.
Ethical non-monogamy requires inherited norms around relationships.
In a world where monogamy is often seen as the gold standard of romantic relationships,
is gaining traction.
The rise of ethical non-monogamy offers a radical rethinking
It's about
of
more
love,
truth,
commitment, and
about
intimacy.
what we want,
But
what
at
we
the heart
fear,
of this alternative
and what love
relationship
can
style
become when we
lies
break
a
free
crucial
from
foundation:
shame,
scarcity
informed
and
consent.
control. Without it,
Yet,
non-monogamy
like any path of
becomes
freedom,
little more than deception
polyamory
wrapped
is
in
not
freedom.
without its challenges.
With it, however,
Jealousy
it
doesn't
transforms
disappear.
into a deliberate,
Boundaries must be
respectful,
built,
and conscious
maintained,
choice
and
shared by all
renegotiated.
involved. Communication
Ethical
isn't
non-monogamy
optional. It's
refers to
survival.
any relationship
And
structure
most
in which
importantly,
people openly
polyamory
and
isn't an
consensually
escape
engage
from
in
commitment.
romantic
It's
or
a deepening
sexual
of it.
relationships.
Because when
with
you
more
strip
than
away
one
the
partner.
societal templates
This can
and
include
create your relationship
polyamory,
on your
open
own terms,
relationships,
every
swinging,
agreement becomes
relationship
an act of
anarchy,
conscious
and
intention.
other non-exclusive
So in this
dynamics.
video,
We'll
what makes
explore
it
the
ethical
meaning,
is not
myths,
just the
and
absence of
realities
monogamy,
polyamory,
but the presence
and
of
open
transparency
relationships.
and mutual
We'll look at
agreement.
the different forms they can
Informed
take,
consent
the
is what
psychological
separates
frameworks
ethical
behind
non-monogamy
them,
from
and the
infidelity.
emotional skills required to
Informed
sustain
consent
them.
means that
Whether you're
everyone
poly,
involved
curious,
is not only aware of the
confused, or
relationship
simply
structure,
exploring,
but
this
also
is a
understands
space where
it and
questions are
agrees to it
welcome.
willingly.
Where love
This
is plural,
requires clear,
and where
honest,
freedom is
and
not the
ongoing
opposite of
communication.
commitment,
But it's not enough to simply say, "I'm
Let's go
non-monogamous."
beyond monogamy.
Each
And
partner
into a
must
deeper
know what that
understanding
means
of
in
what
practice.
love can truly be.
Are emotional connections allowed outside the primary relationship? Is sexual involvement with others permitted? Are there boundaries around time, communication, or intimacy? These details must be openly discussed, not assumed. Without informed consent, relationships become imbalanced. One partner may be making choices that the other is unaware of, leading to hurt, confusion, or betrayal. Even if the intention is not to harm, the absence of clarity creates emotional chaos. Ethical non-monogamy demands emotional responsibility, which includes being honest not only with others, but with oneself. It's about knowing what you want, being able to articulate it, and listening to what others need in return. It's also important to recognize that consent must be ongoing. People change. Boundaries shift. What felt okay last month might not feel okay today. A partner may be willing to try polyamory, but then realize they feel unsafe or unhappy in that structure. Respecting consent means creating space for renegotiation and revision, not enforcing rigid rules. It's a dynamic process, not a static contract. Some might view this level of communication as excessive or emotionally exhausting, but that perception often comes from a culture where people are taught to suppress or ignore difficult feelings rather than face them. In truth, the emotional labor of informed consent in non-monogamy can lead to stronger self-awareness, deeper empathy, and more intentional relationships, skills that benefit all relationships, monogamous or not. Ultimately, ethical non-monogamy is not about having more partners. It's about having more honesty, more clarity, and more mutual respect. Polyamory is about multiple loving relationships. When people hear the word polyamory, they often think of chaos, confusion, or endless hookups. But in reality, polyamory is not about collecting partners or avoiding commitment. It is about creating and nurturing multiple loving, honest, and meaningful relationships. At its core, polyamory challenges the conventional belief that we can only deeply love one person at a time and offers a more expansive view of what love can be. The word polyamory comes from the Greek poly, meaning many, and the Latin amor, meaning love. It literally means many loves. But it isn't simply about numbers, it's about the quality of those connections. People who identify as polyamorous believe it is possible to have more than one intimate, committed relationship at the same time, with the full knowledge and consent of everyone involved. This approach to love requires high levels of emotional intelligence, open communication, and personal responsibility. One of the most common misconceptions about polyamory is that it's just an excuse to avoid commitment. But in many ways, polyamorous relationships require even more commitment, not just to one person, but to multiple people, each with their own needs, boundaries, and emotional realities. It takes time, energy, and care to build trust and connection with more than one partner. Polyamorous people often emphasize values such as honesty, consent, respect, and emotional support as central to making these relationships work. What makes polyamory truly unique is its emphasis on compersion, a term used to describe the joy one feels when seeing their partner experience happiness with someone else. It's often described as the opposite of jealousy. Rather than seeing love as a limited resource that must be protected, polyamory is built on the belief that love is abundant. Just as we can love more than one child, parent, or friend without diminishing our feelings for any of them, polyamorous individuals believe the same can be true in romantic relationships. This doesn't mean polyamory is easy. Like any relationship style, it has its challenges. Jealousy, insecurity, and time management are real hurdles. But instead of pretending these feelings don't exist, polyamory encourages people to confront them openly and compassionately. The journey often leads to greater self-awareness, stronger communication skills, and a deeper understanding of one's own needs and boundaries. Ultimately, polyamory is not about replacing monogamy or claiming superiority over it. It's about offering another path, one that honors love's diversity and complexity. For those who choose it, polyamory provides a space where relationships can grow organically, where love is not constrained by ownership, and where connection is built on mutual truth. It invites us to ask a powerful question: what could love look like if it were not ruled by fear, but guided by freedom and trust? Communication is the foundation of non-monogamous relationships. In every relationship, communication plays a vital role, but in non-monogamous relationships, it is not just important, it is the foundation. Whether in polyamory, open relationships, or other forms of ethical non-monogamy, clear and honest communication is the key that keeps the entire structure from collapsing under the weight of complexity, emotion, and potential misunderstandings. Non-monogamous relationships challenge many of the assumptions that people are socialized to believe about love, that jealousy is a sign of love, that exclusivity equals security, or that one partner should meet all your emotional and sexual needs. In this more open landscape, there's no script to follow. Without a predetermined blueprint, partners must build the relationship intentionally, and communication is the tool that allows them to do so with care and clarity. One of the main reasons communication is so essential in non-monogamy is that it involves more people, more needs, and more moving parts. Emotional honesty is not optional. It's the lifeblood of these relationships. Partners must talk openly about their desires, boundaries, fears, expectations, and insecurities. Silence, avoidance, or assumption often leads to confusion and hurt, especially when there are multiple emotional connections in play. Unlike monogamous structures where exclusivity might serve as a built-in agreement, non-monogamous partnerships require explicit conversations about what is acceptable and what is not. Some couples choose don't ask, don't tell policies. Others want full transparency. Some partners prefer deep emotional connections with others, while some limit their outside relationships to sexual ones. All of these preferences are valid, but only if they're mutually agreed upon. That agreement can only happen through thorough and respectful communication. Moreover, communication helps manage one of the most misunderstood aspects of non-monogamy: jealousy. Jealousy doesn't disappear just because someone is polyamorous or open. However, open communication creates a safe space for partners to express and unpack their feelings without judgment. Instead of acting on jealousy, individuals can talk through it, identify its root causes, often insecurity or fear, and find healthy ways to address it together. Trust is not automatic in non-monogamy. It's built through repeated acts of honesty, vulnerability, and care. When partners know they can bring their full selves to the table, even the messy parts, the relationship becomes more resilient. Missteps are less catastrophic when communication is strong, because there's a shared understanding that problems will be faced together, not hidden or ignored. In a world that often equates love with possession, non-monogamous relationships ask something radically different. That love be expressed through freedom, not control.
Spiritual crisis disguised as compulsion. In a world obsessed with diagnoses, labels, and categories, it is easy to call addiction a compulsion and leave it at that. From obsessive behaviors to chronic substance use, society tends to treat these patterns as merely the result of poor choices, bad habits, or biochemical imbalances. But what if these compulsions are not just pathological, but symbolic? What if beneath the surface of every destructive behavior lies a deeper, invisible hunger, a spiritual crisis disguised as compulsion? Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychoanalyst, believed precisely this. To Jung, many addictions and compulsive behaviors are not the result of mere willpower failure, but a reflection of the soul's unrest. In this view, the person who drinks excessively, who engages in relentless sexual pursuits, or who drowns in digital distractions is not simply avoiding responsibility. They are unconsciously searching for meaning, transcendence, and connection to something greater than themselves. They are seekers, lost in the fog, unknowingly reaching for the sacred through broken rituals. Modern life has lost its sense of mystery. Our spiritual frameworks have crumbled or been reduced to routines devoid of inner power. The ancient rites of passage, the myths that gave life direction, and the communal wisdom that once held people together have faded. What remains is the gnawing emptiness, a psychic void that individuals try to fill with consumption, sensation, or escape. Compulsion, then, is not just behavior gone awry, it is the symptom of a soul crying out for transformation. Jung observed that alcoholics often sought a kind of divine experience, a temporary dissolution of the ego, a sense of courage, or momentary connection. But because this experience is chemically induced, it cannot sustain the psyche. The high eventually crashes, and the compulsion returns, stronger than before. The addict repeats the cycle not because they are simply weak, but because their spiritual thirst remains unmet. What they need is not just sobriety, but inner renewal. This is why many recovery journeys that focus only on behavior modification often fall short. They address the symptoms but ignore the root. Real healing begins when the individual stops asking, "How do I stop?" and starts asking, "What am I truly longing for?" That shift from control to meaning is the turning point, from compulsion to consciousness. In essence, the compulsion is the body's desperate attempt to solve a spiritual problem. It is the soul's way of signaling that something essential is missing. And only when this deeper need is acknowledged can healing truly begin. Spiritual crises require spiritual answers, not in the form of doctrine, but in the rediscovery of purpose, connection, and the self. In this way, our compulsions are not enemies, but messages. To listen is painful. To ignore them is devastating.
There's no universal right way to love. Love is one of the most powerful and profound experiences a human being can encounter. It inspires poetry, art, revolutions, and inner transformation. But for something so deeply personal and intimate, love is often forced into rigid molds. Society teaches us that there is one right way to love, often involving monogamy, heterosexuality, lifelong commitment, and clearly defined gender roles. But is this really the only valid version of love? The truth is far more expansive. There is no universal right way to love, only the right way that honors the people involved. Every person experiences love differently because every person carries unique histories, desires, values, and needs. What brings deep fulfillment to one may feel confining or unnatural to another. For some, monogamy provides security and deep intimacy. For others, polyamory offers room for emotional freedom and connection. Some find joy in queer relationships, others in asexual partnerships, and still others in non-romantic forms of companionship that defy labels entirely. None of these are more correct than the others. They are simply different expressions of love, equally worthy and real. The idea of a singular right way to love often stems from cultural conditioning, religious doctrines, and outdated social norms. Historically, love and relationships were closely tied to survival, inheritance, and property. This created rules around who could love whom, how, and when. Today, many of those rules still linger in the form of stigma and pressure, especially for LGBTQ+ individuals, people in non-monogamous relationships, or those who choose not to marry or have children. The result? Many feel shame or guilt for loving in ways that don't align with dominant narratives. But love, at its core, is about connection, not conformity. It's about mutual respect, consent, trust, and care. Regardless of the form it takes. When we allow ourselves and others to define love on our own terms, we move closer to authenticity and away from judgment. We begin to see that diversity in love isn't a threat to tradition. It's a reflection of human complexity. Importantly, recognizing that there is no one right way to love also means acknowledging that relationships require ongoing effort, communication, and flexibility. Love isn't static. People grow. Needs change. Challenges arise. And when we remove the pressure to fit into a perfect mold, we create space for love to evolve, transform, and deepen over time. In the end, love isn't about ticking the right boxes. It's about being present, honest, and intentional. Whether your love is loud or quiet, traditional or unconventional, lifelong or momentary, what makes it meaningful is the integrity with which it is lived. So let go of the myth that there's only one path. Love is not a formula, it's a living, breathing experience. And the right way to love is the one that honors your truth and the truth of those you hold. So, what have we learned as we stepped beyond the boundaries of monogamy and into the complex, colorful landscape of polyamory and open relationships? We've learned that love doesn't have to follow a script. That for some, the idea of loving one person forever feels beautiful and sacred, and for others, it feels limiting, incomplete, or simply inauthentic. We've learned that polyamory isn't a threat to love, it's another version of it. One where transparency, honesty, and consent become the foundations, not control or fear. Where the question is not who do you belong to, but how can we belong together, freely and fully? Polyamory and open relationships invite us into deep emotional growth. Not because they are easy, but because they require a kind of relational courage that few are taught. They force us to confront our insecurities, speak our truths, and examine where our sense of worth comes from. In these models, love is not a zero-sum game, it's abundant. It expands, evolves, and redefines itself constantly. But let's be clear, non-monogamy is not a fix-all. It is not superior to monogamy. It comes with its own unique trials, emotional labor, scheduling chaos, miscommunication, and heartbreak. It demands emotional literacy, radical honesty, and above all, respect. And not everyone is ready for that or wants it, and that's okay. The goal isn't to replace monogamy. It's to offer more choices, more language, more paths toward meaningful connection. We also must honor that non-monogamy has always existed. Across cultures, time periods, and identities, humans have practiced multiple ways of loving. The dominance of monogamy in Western thought is recent and shaped by specific religious, legal, and economic histories. Polyamory isn't new. What is new is the open, public exploration of it as a valid, ethical relationship style. As we wrap up, here's the truth. What matters most isn't whether your relationship has one partner or many. What matters is whether it is grounded in consent, built on truth, and rooted in mutual respect. Love, real love, asks us to see each other clearly, not just claim each other. It asks for presence, not possession. And whether you choose one person or several or none at all, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. So thank you for exploring this topic with us. If this resonated with you or sparked questions, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share your experiences, your reflections, or even your doubts, because dialogue is how we grow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want to see more videos diving into the heart of identity, love, and human experience. And remember, love isn't one size fits all. Love is a spectrum, a practice, a choice. And the more we explore it with honesty, the more space we make for everyone to belong.